All right, so welcome to the first podcast and vlog for The Confused Millennial. I'm Rachel, and I'm the founder of The Confused Millennial. And today I'm really excited to welcome one of my friends from the University of Florida, Brittany Rouillet. Well, what's your last name now? These two just got married, so what's your last
We
name now?
did. I guess it's Brittany Newman now.
Brittany Newman.
Yes. And I'm Drew.
And they have a travel blog called His and Her Adventure. So I'm really excited to have them here today. And where are you guys at right now?
Wait, let's pause here really quick. It was Mr. and Mrs. Adventure.
Sorry
No
about
worries.
that.
No worries. We actually had some confusion. We had changed for our Instagram names from His Adventure and Her Adventure to Mr. and Mrs. Adventure. So that's where that
so it
came
totally
from.
makes sense.
Gotcha. So where are you
Cool.
guys at today?
We're actually in a Costa Coffee
In Nottingham, England,
Yes.
in
Ooh.
the UK.
Very
So-
cool.
You might hear some coffee being ground or some babies crying, but it's our office for now. Every day it changes.
The life of travel bloggers. So how did you guys get started?
Um, well, I guess we could go back to the beginning before we even had our blog. We were living in Los Angeles. After graduating from college at the University of Florida, we decided, let's do something on our own. Let's go somewhere we've never been. Let's figure out something completely new. So we lived and worked there for 4 years, saved up, and at that point, we knew we needed something different. The 9 to 5 just wasn't working for us. It was kind of like killing our creative souls.
We want more ownership and take things into our hands and create our own destiny and direction. And
And our own timeline. I think time is like the most important thing that you can't get more of, you know? So what you do with it today matters so much. And it was just killing us to do something for someone else all the time. And it maybe we had so many thoughts on what we could be doing with it, you know, and that's how we kind of just thought, well, how do we take it into our own hands? We had read other blogs, other couples that were traveling. Some were photographers, some were just writers, some had completely other businesses that they were running at the same time.
we were really fascinated by the concept that people could work and travel at the same time.
Yeah.
We wanted to figure out how we could do that too, because in a way, that's like the ultimate goal, that you can go explore, go to many places and like be a tourist, but also make a living while you're on the road. And so it's kind of a era of the digital nomad, and basically internet, Wi-Fi technology is on our side, and it's like the best time ever to get out there and explore.
So how do you guys make a living, and how long did that actually take till you were really self-supporting yourselves? Because I imagine you had to live off savings for a little while or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it wasn't until we left LA, which was, I guess, a little over a year ago, February 1st of 2015, we moved into our first van.
Van life, I love it.
Van life. And started traveling the US and Canada. And at that point, we were just living off of savings. And through the blog, and how it still works today, is we're able to get things taken care of in exchange for writing about the experience or posting a video or sharing things on Instagram. We've also done some like media. I
We
guess
did a web series for a company called Imvibe out of New York that's teaching kind of financial savvy ideas and concepts to millennials.
Yes.
Really awesome company. And we've also worked at a trade show for a friend. We've done a couple
fun
other
things.
video projects for some big companies as well. So
so.
you just say
on-
yes to opportunity as it goes, and if you never put your foot out the door, you'll never have those opportunities.
It's so
on-
true.
On one end, we would say yes to whatever little money making opportunities people offered, but then through the blog, we were able to kind of, I guess, break even on some expenses. But then at the same time, we got some media experiences like the Imbibe thing, and then also with MSN, we did 2 webisodes, which those paid quite well. Which that's always exciting. We don't get those every day. So it's a lot of uncertainty. It's a lot of patience and persistence, like being persistent and just not stopping because of fears and things like that. But of course, having a savings allowed us to kind of not be fearless for a little while.
I think a lot of it too comes to being smart with like the way you spend. It's not necessarily that we're trying to preach like live $5 a day on $5 per day, but it's something about be smart with the way you spend your money and think about what you really need versus what you want and what loan and what you need to spend on to like make it a better situation for yourself too.
Absolutely. And I love that, you guys don't ever really seem to lack for anything. It's so much more about the experience. And I remember reading one of your posts where it's like, we do treat ourselves to like a nice date night. And then we, are cooking veggies and quinoa in our van. And it's about that balance and really like learning to adapt and buy whatever's local and around you, which I got to imagine is an experience of it in itself.
It is, especially being in a new country where you don't even know what stores have things. And we just moved into our European van last Thursday, so it hasn't even been a week yet.
We have a whole adventure and story about what it's like to buy a van or a vehicle in another country, and that's amazing in its own right, and so many cool tidbits about that, and learning names of new stores and how to use just local things here.
Yeah, using the locals for advice and learning good. They have different words in England for even vegetables. Like a zucchini is not called a zucchini here. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's something completely different.
Yeah, an elevator is called a lift. A truck is called a lorry.
An oven is, a stove is called a hob. Yeah.
So how do you guys handle, I got to imagine it was pretty scary at first, just throwing yourself into new countries, not knowing the language, not really knowing your way around. So what have been some of the fears and how have you guys walked through those?
Get Google Maps. Google Maps gets you everywhere.
Actually, having Wi-Fi has made everything a lot more manageable. We work with a company called TEP Wireless, TEP Wireless, and they're like global coverage. And so it's like a little hotspot, and that lets us like Google certain things. Like let's say, even with this new van, like we don't really have a security system that we feel sound about. So we need someone who can install a security system on our home. And we have no idea where to go. We don't know a mechanic anywhere. And at this point, we're trying to make our way over to Ireland. So we're kind of moving every 2 days or every day towards the other coast. So it's not like, we have a week to explore and research this one section.
And things also can be different because in the U.S., where you used to basically you go to a place, they install is like that day, you don't have to book it out in advance. Here it doesn't work that way. Like so many places you have to schedule out like a month in advance or a couple weeks, and that's kind of what we're incurring with this whole security situation at the moment, getting new locks, deadbolts on some of the doors.
But it's tackling one thing at a time. We have a list, and it's just you're constantly thinking and trying to solve problems. It's never really easy, and the work doesn't really stop. But we wouldn't choose.
There's magical moments
else
along that journey as we go too.
Yeah, and that's what makes it okay.
Yeah, so you just kind of gotta like. Some days it's like, this took me 4 hours when I thought it'd take me 20 minutes.
Even parking, because our van is like 3.6 meters high.
They have a lot of gates over the height, like creating height restrictions for vehicles going into parking lots. And we've encountered that as a major obstacle for trying to find parking.
So we had to go to a different city this morning. We just couldn't even park in this city.
Wow.
So we're like, well, let's just keep driving.
That's so funny. So has there ever been a time where you guys almost decided to like quit your blog and go back to traditional 9 to 5s because of whether the finances or just how big and scary? I mean, that's a big realm you guys are tackling. You guys have been in how many countries in the last year?
Well, we had U.S.,
Not
Iceland.
too many. Mexico, Canada, Iceland, of course the U.S.
Yeah.
and now England. But basically this year we'll probably cover about 20 or so.
Wow.
Because Europe is a much smaller landmass, and we'll be crossing borders left and right all the time. And we also, one of the big parts we have to think about this year is the visa restrictions for certain countries.
That
and
is
the
a
time in
puzzle.
which we can only be there for so long. Yeah.
We have like an 180-day limitation in the UK, a 90-day limitation in a lot of the EU countries. But as far as like putting...
Oh, I'm losing you. Hold on one sec, Brittany.
Okay. So as far as ending, our blogging or anything like that. We've never we've never even had that discussion really. I think that we just keep moving forward somehow. Like even if like maybe right now, if we feel stuck because we're really focusing on the van and how to kind of like make life work, and we can't really focus and push the blog forward in the business sense or anything, but we're just kind of like letting it be what it is and letting it organically grow, which it just takes a lot of faith and patience and persistence. Like I said, like I write sometimes, and especially in the beginning, I would write a post. I didn't even know who was seeing it at first, It's just doing what you love for yourself and knowing that it will become what it's supposed to become because you're putting the right energy into it. And financially, Drew should also mention.
So one thing that popped up after we left our jobs in LA and had no idea of this coming is that through different things that happened in family, etc., I ended up having the opportunity to manage a business remotely back in the Midwest. So that's been something that when we pop into these cafes and internet areas, that it's something that I can work on from a distance. And I need to go back to the Midwest about every 3-4 months to check on that business and be there in person rather than remotely. So that's been a huge opportunity that came up and we totally did not expect. So it's been great to have a source of income from that as well.
Because that allows me to be a bit more patient and experimental with how to monetize the vlog.
It gives her more time to write too and focus on that. But it goes in spurts because sometimes we're out exploring, adventuring. Sometimes we're working on a van, and then other times we get back to the basics of, all right, this is what we need to focus on with the blog. And we've had a lot of people reach out in ways to take it. So it's something that we're really trying to sit down and think of a strategy, how to go about it, because without a plan, you can't move forward. And we want to see some improvements on our end too as we watch it grow and how we can offer better thoughts and blogs and ideas and maybe products to people.
That's so awesome because I think it's so important, especially when a lot of people are starting out with their blogs or their businesses. A lot of times you're just putting stuff out there and you don't know if anyone's on the other end hearing it, listening to it. Even in starting this podcast right now, it's like, I don't know who's going to end up listening to it. But
the
it's
right people.
Exactly. And so it's a lot of it is that faith and that energy you're putting it out into the universe. And I typically really believe that if you are putting your heart and soul into something, like the universe is going to give you what you need to either grow as a person and to move you to that next level. So it's like even how that business opportunity came to you, Drew. It's kind of like, okay, so this is going to be the stepping stone to this bigger purpose, this bigger mission in life.
Right.
And I love that, like when we walk through fear, just how we get so many wonderful returns and blessings in life.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
so true.
Very cool. So do you guys feel like adults? I know that's a weird question, but sometimes I don't feel like one.
Oh my God, that's a great question. I love that question because we call ourselves crazy kids all the time. We're just two crazy kids.
Exactly.
I don't feel we're 27 and 28, just for full disclosure. I don't even feel an age. Is that a thing? Like,
I love
just
that.
Feel...
I love
It's
that.
crazy
alive.
it's
I
crazy
feel
to think like where we were maybe 7 years ago or 5 years ago, and then what we did last year, and brings us to the present time. And we just got married 32 days ago.
That sort of makes me feel like an
30,
adult.
Yeah. So definitely that is a game changer too.
Yeah,
So we knew each other for 6 years, and we got engaged a year and a half before getting married, and now we're married as of a little bit ago of January. So
yeah, I guess the word wife and the word husband, it has like more of a responsible feeling to it.
it's a refined it's
Adult
refined
type
yes.
of thing, but and isn't it interesting, like adults versus kids? Like what even defines that? Like how do they define the differences? I like feeling like both sometimes. I think maybe we can always choose. Like feeling like a kid, you feel free and you feel like anything is possible and nothing's holding you back, and you can just run and do and play and imagine things. But then as far as being an adult, like there are responsibilities and certain things that need to get done and commitments that you need to honor and a certain way that's better to maybe act like that feels more true to yourself. So if you can like mesh those or take a balance between the two, Yeah.
We had to really think it was fun to one, merge our bank accounts, and then think that two, it's really funny that our first purchase is a van together, not a house, not a
I mean, it
puppy, not
is
a
your home, though.
yeah, yeah.
Have some wheels.
It's an apartment on four wheels. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
So
awesome. Congratulations to you guys again. Brittany, you looked beautiful in your wedding dress.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So exciting. Yeah, that's one of my things. I'm like, because I'm getting married in October this year, and I'm like, maybe I'll feel like an adult after that. Because
It's a little something changes.
yeah, because so much of me is like, I just want to wear a cape and run around all day and like go follow Brittany's blog all over Los Angeles and get sprinkles cupcakes from ATMs. No big deal.
Yes. Did you?
Oh,
you
and
get it?
yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, don't forget that we do bring our Superwoman and Superman costumes with us, so we do have capes.
Yes.
Let's not leave that small attention to
And
detail
if
out.
you guys, for the listeners out there, you guys need to follow them on Instagram. I think you guys pretty recently just posted. You got the Superman
The
costumes
capes.
in front of the Hollywood
Yeah.
sign.
We did. It's Mr. and Mrs. Adventure on Instagram now. We figured it was easier to just manage our one than
Yeah.
both. So
Very
Yeah.
true.
And we also wore our costumes about 2 weeks ago to a sober morning rave, which was fantastic. You get done at like 1 in the afternoon, and you go to lunch, and you feel like you've just worked out and had the time of your life for
yeah, like
about
we just
5
danced
hours.
all morning, and there's glitter on my face.
Awesome. That's amazing. It was called a what? A sober dance party in the morning?
Sober morning rave. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Morning Gloryville
That's
in England. Yeah, or sorry, in the middle of London.
Yeah, in
actually,
London.
yeah.
They do it once a month.
How do you guys even find stuff like that?
Talk to locals.
Yeah, it was actually a friend from middle school who now lives in London, who she was older than me, so we were never really that close, but she found me on Facebook and we were like, oh, we'll come see you in London. And we did. And then she invited us to the early morning rave because she caters it.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So was there like a defining moment where you guys decided to say, okay, I'm done with the 9 to 5s. We're going to go full tilt on this travel blog stuff? Because you guys had been dabbling a little bit. I remember in college you guys were sponsored by JanSport. So you guys had, for probably the entire time you knew one another. Oh, you guys lost my audio?
Yeah, we lost you for a
Okay.
second. there.
I was saying that you guys have been dabbling quite a bit in traveling for years. In college, you guys were sponsored by JanSport and things like that. So at what point did you guys lightning bolt to the heart that this is it, this is the time?
Yeah.
I think it started when, first of all, we wanted to move somewhere out of state for starting our life after college. So we moved to SoCal, and SoCal's full of opportunities to explore the outdoors, which was something we both knew we were passionate about. And once we had the opportunity to find jobs, settle down a little bit more, we took to the weekends and going exploring. So we drive to Joshua Tree 3 hours away from LA, or we go up to Big Bear, we go up to Big Sur. So really spawned our want and desire to go hit the outdoors. And it really was awesome from there.
But at that point, we realized that we were living for our weekends. We were trying to get away from the city, trying to enjoy our own time and get away from having a job. And it was like, we couldn't wait for Friday. And I do sometimes miss that Friday excitement. But I don't miss like the knot in my stomach on evening. And it came to a point where Drew had actually tried to start his own business. It was kind of dealing with watches and selling previously owned watches, which was a business he had been in before. He saw some errors in that business model and tried to recreate it correctly on his own. He
Had some partner issues
Yeah.
and basically ended up going a different direction with it. But I think
as that dissolved, the job that I was working kind of dissolved at the same time. And
we'd been talking about this for some time, and we set a goal and date in mind that we were going to basically out in the future leave our jobs and figure out a way to explore and adventure. And
It
we
just
always
came
had this burning desire to live abroad, and we're finally doing it to this day. We didn't know we'd travel the U.S. for a year prior to doing this.
That's awesome.
yeah, we had said that April of 2016 we would leave our jobs, sell our things,
And that was
travel.
October of 2013 that we sat down and wrote that in a piece of paper that we planned to do that in April of 2016.
I just got like goosebumps because I feel like if you're listening to this and you have something that you want to do, setting that timeline, that deadline for yourself is just such a powerful practice, because I too said to myself, okay, but I'm going to do one more job in my industry. If that doesn't go well, I'm leaving the industry to start my own business. And then after a year of being in my business, I started to not really like the direction it was going. And so I said, okay, in 4 months, I'm going to fire all my clients and relaunch. And then within 2 months, some stuff happened where it moved that timeline up for me. And that timeline just kind of kept getting moved up by the universe for me. So I think
Yes.
it's so cool you guys have
That's
that
fantastic.
shared experience.
It manifests itself,
It
and it's like,
does.
all right, well, you planted the seed, I'll grow now.
Yes, exactly. So do you guys really feel like you are living your purpose and passion in life right now?
I think we're on the way to it. I think we're on the right path, that we're definitely in front of that bigger purpose. We know that we want to find a way to like contribute or give back, or we need some kind of like
We want to give more than just
philanthropy.
our own project at the moment, because right now
Yeah.
it's a lot inward focused, but we share the story. We want to affect other people more directly than just reading about us. Like, we want them to be sharing their stories, or we meet people on our
Yeah.
travels and would love to like share and promote some of the things those people are doing and
build
efforts that they're making.
community and
That's awesome.
That's a big goal for our website, is to create more of a community and have other people's input rather than just us telling a story.
but we
So-
won't know how to do that
Yeah.
until it's
That's what we've put out there right now.
Yeah.
So everybody listening, email them. Let them know what you're working on, what
Yeah.
you want to see them incorporating. And that's
Mr. and Mrs. Adventure at gmail.com.
awesome. And that's also very similar to the mission behind the Confused Millennial. Is my goal is to make it community oriented, to give people like you guys a platform to say, like, listen, we're out here, like, let's build a greater network of millennials that are making a positive impact and creating non-traditional paths for themselves. So I'm really excited to have had you guys today. Would you mind sharing one more time how everyone can connect with you? And I'll make sure to type those up with the vlog as well, so people can have it.
Sure. So Mr. and Mrs. Adventure.com. That's MRANDMRS Adventure. And the same for Instagram, Mr. and Mrs. Adventure.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you guys so much. It was so great having you. I hope you stay warm.
Trying.
And I am excited to follow your travels.
Thank you so much. And we love the idea behind the Confused Millennial, because aren't we all?
Thank you. All
Go get
right.
out there and live your dreams.
All right. Thanks, guys.